What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Coach AK here with another episode, and we are continuing on in our series called Let's Talk Macros. This is going to be part 3. We're going to be talking about carbohydrates, giving you guys a thorough breakdown, or at least probably more like a elementary entry level breakdown. But we're going to be talking about carbohydrates. The last episode, we broke down protein, the importance of it, how to get it in, what the benefits are, and ways that you can start implementing adequate protein into your life just by kind of guesstimation. So really good to check out there. The first part, before the protein episode, we give just kind of like a general overview of macronutrients, the 3 macronutrients, how many calories are contained per gram, and just entry level. So start with that one, then work your way to this episode, part 3. So, well, like I said, we're talking about carbohydrates. But before we get into that, let me just start by saying, if you guys don't mind, give us some stars, give us some likes on whatever you're viewing or listening to this on, rather YouTube on the actual video, or if you're on a podcast streaming platform of any type. Please, guys, help us out there. It's extremely beneficial. It helps us get the message out there, helps us get the podcast out there, and helps us help as many people as possible. So appreciate the love there. All right, so on carbohydrates, what is a carbohydrate? Great question. Carbohydrates encompass a broad range of sugars, starches, and fiber. The basic building block of a carbohydrate is a simple union of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. The chemical definition of a carbohydrate is any compound containing these 3 elements and having twice as many hydrogen atoms as oxygen and carbon. All right, so there's a little scientific definition breakdown of what carbohydrates are. You're welcome. Now, let's talk about some sources of carbohydrates. Where can you get the best carbohydrates from? Because again, there's a broad range of different carbohydrates. So what we will always suggest is to start healthy, because this is all about transforming our health, becoming best versions of ourselves. And that's going to be fruits and vegetables are always going to be the top. Probably vegetables over fruit, just because of it's a little bit more fiber content, probably some more micronutrients in there, and just a little bit easier to control consumption. Also grains, so whole grains, another great option of carbohydrates. And many dairy products also naturally contain carbohydrates in varying amounts, including sugars. So your, milk, cheeses, things like that may contain a little bit of carbohydrates in there, especially milk per se, and they'll add some sugars to some dairy products as well. All right, so here are some benefits of carbohydrates. So again, we're not touching every benefit because it would take forever. We're just going to touch on a few of them, and here I just have 7 benefits. So number 1, carbs or glucose help fuel your brain and body. So the brain runs off of about 70% of glucose. So very, very important for brain function, for mental clarity, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the cells in our bodies operate off of carbohydrates, specifically our liver and our muscle tissue. It actually uses a form of glucose or carbohydrate called glycogen. That's basically our body takes blood glucose, the glucose that's in our bloodstream, it converts it into glycogen, which is the stored form of glucose in liver and muscle tissue. So all the contractions that happen in the muscle come from glycogen. Very important there. Number 2, can help with sleep regulation. So some people, if they cut out carbohydrates of their diet, they just don't sleep very well. So adding in more carbs around bedtime, even though I know that's forbidden. People say don't eat anything after 7 or 9, but it's specifically carbs. That's hogwash, guys. Completely false. It can actually help improve sleep. So it's not for everybody. Some people, maybe less carbs help them sleep better. More carbs help them sleep better. It's totally based on the individual, but there could be some validation for helping with sleep. Number 3, it's a quick source of energy. So it's the quickest breakdown, especially compared to fat. So fats digest a little bit slower, or quite a bit slower. So actually, if you eat fats with carbs and protein, it'll slow down the digestion of those as well. So Carbs are a great quick source of energy if you're going to be training, if you're just kind of lagging in energy, and quick energy for the brain as well. Again, going back to number one with that mental clarity and cognitive abilities and things like that. Number four, it provides glycogen for muscle energy. So we touched on that on number one. You know, we need this glycogen to help with muscle contraction, to help with producing force in the muscle. So we want our muscle cells to be saturated with glycogen, as well as our liver, because our liver uptakes a lot of the glucose, forms it into glycogen, and then whenever our body, or there's tissues in our body that are low in glycogen or glucose, our body can release that glycogen stored in the liver, convert it back into glucose, or shuttle it into muscle tissue. So it's kind of like a little protectant agent there. Number five, fiber, specifically the type of carbohydrate. Fiber can help with satiety and gut health. So there's very few things that we know about the microbiome and about gut health, even though everybody claims to have all these answers. Scientifically, there's very little that we know about gut health, but we do know that fiber has a positive impact on gut health because there's a lot of the good bacteria in our digestive tract that feed off of soluble and insoluble fiber, which is two different types of fiber. And we definitely want that because that provides a very nutrient rich, good bacteria rich environment whenever we're digesting food and getting rid of the toxins that we're eating in those foods. Number six, it can help increase metabolism in the right amount. So, we can overdo anything and it can cause weight gain, okay? Because at the end of the day, if you consume more calories than you burn, you're going to gain weight. So, it can help increase metabolism in the right amount, and there's a benefit there. Number seven, it can help with the speed of muscle recovery. So if you've gone keto before or super low carb, especially those first few weeks, you're not recovering as well. You can't push as hard in your training. Your energy levels are lower, brain fog, all those things. So we know that carbohydrates have a big impact on the speed and rate and efficiency of muscle recovery from training, which is why we always emphasize carbohydrate consumption around your training. Now, there are some carbohydrate misconceptions. There's lots of rumors, there's lots of ideas of how carbs are this, how they're bad, how they're evil, how they're causing diabetes, how they're doing all these negative things as if it's some evil molecule that's being introduced into our body. But I assure you guys, I promise you, this is not the case, all right? So in recent years, carbohydrates have received a bad rap, a bad reputation from social media zealots and fad diet promoters. They have been blamed for the obesity epidemic, as well as many other health conditions such as diabetes and heart disease. These notions couldn't be further from the truth within themselves, okay? Context is everything. Carbohydrates are a perfectly healthy source of nutrients and energy, especially for athletes and gym enthusiasts. So if you care about taking care of your body, you need to understand how carbohydrates can help you in this process. Glucose, which is the broken down form of carbohydrate in the body, is essential for brain function as well as other important processes in the body. One should focus on energy balance primarily and not demonizing any specific nutrient. So protein is not bad, dietary fat's not bad, carbohydrates not bad. It's all about energy balance, how much we're consuming of anything, because anything could be bad for you. You consume too much water, it can kill you, right? Does that mean we should cut out water? Probably not. If you can, there's toxic molecules that are in animal products that we've shown at extremely high rates and high amounts of these molecules can cause cancer and all these different things that we demonize carbohydrates for. Does that mean we shouldn't consume animal products? Absolutely not. It's all about context, and something that Dr. Lane Norton always says that I really, really like this phrase, really hit home for me, and something that's helped me understand all things health in a better scope, especially when it comes to nutrition and consuming anything. And that is the dose makes the poison, okay? It's not about necessarily what you're consuming, it's how much you're consuming, because there's lots of things, if you were to get extremely abnormal amounts in your diet, can have a negative impact. Again, water, if you drink water too fast and too much, you can kill yourself from it. But again, that doesn't make healthy bad. It's essential for our health. We have to have it. So the dose makes the poison, and carbohydrates and dietary fats no different. Dietary fats in high amounts, especially saturated fat, has shown to have a negative impact on heart health. It just is what it is. Does that mean that you shouldn't eat saturated fat? Probably not. But if you're over consuming it, especially in a calorie surplus, you may see some of these issues. Again, the dose makes the poison. So with all that being said, that's a little breakdown on carbohydrates, where you can get them, what they are, and some misconceptions so we can get over all these lies and just misinformation and actually figure out what is best for our personal health. So hope you guys enjoy this information. Stay tuned for part 4 where we go over fats, and it's going to be good, guys. So whatever you do today, do something good for yourself, something good for your health, something good for those you care about, and whatever you do, make sure you win on purpose. Talk at you next time.